Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today we're going to be using up some scrap wood and making a little bit of scrap wood projects. This first video is going to be on making a little octagon shelf or hexagon shelf, depending on how much wood you got. I think I got enough here to make some hexagons, but either way they're made pretty much the same way. You'll just change your degree of angle on your cuts. So I'm going to make these about 2 inches deep. I'm going to make about an 8-inch wide hexagon. Now, if I say hexagon, octagon, get them back and forth, this is going to be on making a hexagon. For some reason, octagon stuck in my brain today, so if I say it more than once, I apologize in advance. So the first thing I want to do is rip these boards down to the width I want. I'm going to cut off any excess just because, again, I'm using scrap. I've got a piece here that's just about 2 inches. And again, since we're using scrap wood, it doesn't have to be exactly 2 inches. Just make them all matching or whatever size you've got. If you got 1.5 inches, use 1.5 inches. But basically I want to end up with 6 pieces, since I'm making a hexagon, that are the same width. After I get these pieces done, I'm going to take them over to the chop saw and I'm going to cut off a 30-degree back cut on them. Now if you want to make an octagon, you'd make that a 22.5-degree back cut, because you'd want 4 angles instead of 3. 3 times 30 is 90. So we're going to end up with a 90-degree angle out of 3 pieces, 90-degree angle out of 3 pieces. So you want to set your saw as close as you can. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but the closer you get to perfect, the better your hexagon, octagon will look when you get done with them. And if you don't have a digital scale, I'd suggest getting one. These are really inexpensive, $20 or so at your box store. And they will help set your saw to the table and make sure your cuts are precise. So I'm going to take my 6 pieces and I'm just going to cut one end of them off. So I'm going to cut one end off at 30 degrees. So all 6 pieces will be cut at 30 degrees. Now something else, these pieces are already ripped down to, or planed down to 1/2 inch thick. Make sure all your pieces are the same thickness. This is just a leftover piece of board, so that luckily they were all planed down to the same thing. But if not, make sure you plane them all down to 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever size you need them to be. If not, your hexagon, octagon is going to look kind of funky. Now you could do this on your table saw if you wanted to, instead of your chop saw, depending on what you've got set up, how fast it is to set up. If you did a sled, you could put this on your sled and set your table saw to 30 degrees and back cut this back and forth on itself. Basically, you want the cuts going from outside to inside on both sides. So what I've done is I've measured my first cut, as you can see with the pencil there. I put a stop on the other side so I can basically slide this up against it and make the same cut 6 different times. That way, all 6 are equally the same cut. Make sure when you're doing this, you let the saw blade stop all the way. That is creating a small bind on the other side. If you pull the blade up while it's still spinning, you can eject that piece out of there. So either stay out of the way, or you can, again, use a table sled if you feel more comfortable, or you can put a 0 clearance fence in the back there. As you can see, it makes it nice and simple, fast and easy. If you were going to make 10 or 12 of these, you could just sit there and knock them out one after another. And I'm making a couple extra pieces just because I had the boards already cut. If I end up making 2 out of this, I'll be happy. Every now and then you have a little ding or dent. Again, since we're using scrap wood, there may be something on one of the boards that I don't like, and then I've got extra pieces I can put together with it. I'm just doing a light sanding there to get the burrs off, so I've got good pieces or good connections when I put them together. Now, some people like this method, some people don't. Me personally, if I'm making something fast and easy like this, this works for me. I've laid all my pieces end to end to where they're touching and even. I'll take a long piece of tape, I'm going to put it across the back of them, and you can do this if you do it pretty quick. If you just drop it on top of there and commit to it, 9 times out of 10, everything will stay in position, even with the wonky table I've got with all the glue and stuff on there. Again, this is just to get them to hold together. And then we're going to flip it over, and once we flip them over, we're going to glue them up, and then we're going to use that extra piece of tape on the end to seal up the hexagon, octagon, whatever you're making. Now, when I first started taping pieces like this, they weren't pretty. It took a little bit of effort, just like anything else. You're going to have to try it 4 or 5 times to figure out if this works for you or not. But it definitely makes it a whole lot easier. I'm still going to use clamps on it once I get everything put together. I'm still going to clamp it. I'm still going to make sure everything's straight. Again, this is just to kind of hold everything together for me so I can line it up properly and then get it clamped down. And as you can see, fast and easy. You roll that together, fasten your tape to it, and then it'll let me line everything up, clamp it in place, and then wipe off the excess glue. So I've got everything pushed into place where I want it at. You can see a little bit of squeeze out there, not a lot. I'm going to put these clamps on here, Hexagon using 6. Octagon I'd use 8. I'd have to put 1 or 2 on from the other side or use thicker clamps. But either way, these are not super tight. They're just going on tight enough to get all my cracks out and give me enough time to get all the glue wiped out of the cracks and crevices, because the last thing you want is a bunch of glue showing up if you're going to oil these or poly them or something like that. You know very well that glue on walnut sticks out like a sore thumb. So even if I get these a little bit more wet than I normally would, I'd rather have the glue out of there. And I know I've got enough glue back in those seams that it's going to bind together. Now I leave the clamps on for about 4 to 6 hours usually, unless it's the end of the day project. I'll leave them overnight. You can let them sit overnight if you feel better. They're going to bond plenty in 4 to 6 hours, especially since you're making a full connection. You don't have anything hanging loose or basically like a box or touching on all 4 sides. I'm going to peel my tape off here, and then I'm going to go around it with a sander and just hit any spots that need to be touched up. There's a couple little pieces here and there you can see, like on the side of that one right there at the top. Again, we're using scrap wood. We're not using new wood. If we were using new wood, probably wouldn't be acceptable for me, but since we're using scrap, I can sand that out and make it look good. And again, we don't want to round those off unless your edges did not turn out good. If the edges didn't turn out good, you can round those over and usually blend them in to where they look like they're meant to be. After we get the outside edges done, I'm just taking a little bit of sandpaper here, fold it over, and just getting in the cracks and making sure I've got all the glue out of there. Again, I'm going to just oil these or wax them. So if I've got glue on there, it's going to show up bright yellow and look terrible. So I'm just making sure I've got all that out of there. So once I get that all done, I'm just going to put some oil on it. I'm not really going to show you how to oil it. I'm just pretty much take a rag and wipe oil on it. And as you can see, I got 12 inches from edge to edge. If you wanted to make an 8-inch, you would use 4-inch planks. If you wanted to make a 12-inch, you'd use 6-inch planks. Basically take your width, divide it by 2, and that's how long your little individual plank should be. And there it is, hanging up on the wall. Not very good. You can hang it this way, that way. You can put a little hanger on the back. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click on like and subscribe.